Hey guys, you know what I'm gonna say? We're still working with decimals, we're still working with division, so we are dividing decimals. Today, we're going to be doing a little bit longer numbers. We're gonna be using ones that have a divisor in the hundredths place instead of just the tenths place. So the first thing we would do, as always, if it's written horizontal, we go ahead and we set it up as a typical division problem. 7 and 381 thousandths divided by 1 and 21 hundredths. So see, the only difference today is we're working with hundredths as our divisor instead of just tenths. But guess what? The rule doesn't change. It's easier for me to work with it if I look at my divisor like a whole number. So in order to get this to look like a whole number, I would have to move that decimal place 2 times, 2 multiples of 10. And if I have to do it in my divisor, I also have to do it in my dividend. So I would go 1, 2, because I said we're moving 2 multiples of 10, and then what should I do? Always, right then at that point, go ahead and go straight up, put your decimal where your quotient's gonna go. And then we just use our standard algorithm for dividing. Get some of these loops out of the way. Okay, so let's see, it started here, we moved it 2 times, so now it's here. 121 won't go into 7, of course, so we placeholder 0. 121 won't go into 73, so we placeholder 0 again. Well, I know 121 will go into 738, but I'm not exactly sure how many times, so I'll just look at my outside number over here. That 1 will go into 7 times. So I'm going to go over here to the side so that I don't have to do a lot of erasing on my problem. And I'm just going to try and see if that works. 121 times 7, we said we think it may go 7 times. 7 times 1 is 7. 7 times 2 is 14. Carry your 1. 7 times 1 is 7, plus the 1 that you carried is 8. Well, that's too big, isn't it? So I know that I'm going to have to bump it down 1. It won't go 7 times, so let me see if it'll go 6 times. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. Carry our 1. 6 times 1 is 6, plus the 1 that we carried is 7. So yeah, 726 is just a little bit smaller than 738. So now we know it'll go 6 times. And we don't have to redo the math because we just worked it right here. So 726. And then like just in regular standard division, we subtract. So 8 minus 6 is 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. 7 minus 7 is 0. And we drop down our next digit, which is a 1. Oh, look, 121. 121 we know will go into 121 just 1 time. 1 times 121 is 121, and we come up with our 0 remainder. So 7 and 381 thousandths divided by 1 and 21 hundredths is 6 and 1/10. So the only thing different in yesterday and today is we just had to hop 2 times, because to make our divisor a whole number, since it was to the hundredths place, that's 2 multiples of 10. 10 times 10 was 100, so that's our 2 multiples of 10 is why we had to do 2 hops. And if you do 2 hops in your divisor, in order to get it equaled out, you have to do 2 hops in your dividend and go ahead and take it straight up so you don't forget it. All right, our next one. 19 and 824 thousandths divided by 3 and 54 hundredths. the first thing we would do is write it out as a standard division problem. 19.824 divided by 3.54. Okay, and then we follow our basic rule that we know. We know it's easier to work by making our divisor a whole number. So in order to make this a whole number, the decimal would need to be here, so we would have to move 2 multiples of 10. If I move 2 multiples of 10 in my divisor, in order to make it balance out, I also have to move 2 multiples of 10, or 2 hops in my dividend. And then always go straight on up and go ahead and put your decimal in. Get some of this out of our way. All right. Now, we know that 354 won't go into 1, so we placeholder 0. It won't go into 19, so we placeholder 0. Wow. It won't even go into 198, so this time we're going to have 3 placeholder zeros. But it will go into 1,982, but I have no idea how many times. So just to give me a starting place, I'm going to look at my outside number over here, my far one on the outside. 3 won't go into 1, but it will go into 19. 3 will go into 19 6 times, so that gives me a starting point. So I'm going to go over here to the side and see if 6 will work. So 6 times 4 is 24, carry the 2. 6 times 5 is 30, plus the 2 that we carried is 32. 6 times 3 is 18, plus the 3 that we carried is 21. So that makes me over. So I know I'm going to have, it gave me a starting place, but I'm going to have to go down 1 and see if 5 will work. 6 was just a little too big, so let's see if 5 will work. 5 times 4 is 20. Carry your 2. 5 times 5 is 25, plus the 2 that you carried is 27. Carry your 2. 5 times 3 is 15, plus the 2 that you carried is 17. So yeah, that'll work for me, won't it? I didn't have to do too many times because I got pretty close the first time. Okay, so, and we don't have to do the math again because we already know that 5 times 354 is 1,770. And then we subtract. So I have 2 minus 0 is 2. 8 minus 7 is 1. 9 minus 7 is 2. And then I drop down my next digit. Okay, well, I know that it won't go into 2, it won't go into 1, it won't go into 212, but it will go into 2,124. But I have no idea where to start. So let's see, I'll look at my outside number and say, well, it won't go into 2, but it will go into 21. And 3 goes into 21 7 times. So let's start with 7. That gives me a starting point. 354 times 7. 7 times 4 is 28. Carry my 2. 7 times 5 is 35, plus the 2 that I carry is 37. 7 times 3 is 21, plus the 3 that I carried is 24. So that's a little too much, isn't it? So it gave me a starting point so that I didn't have to try every number in the world. But let's go down and try a 6. 6 times 4 is 24. Carry my 2. 6 times 5 is 30, plus the 2 that I carried is 32. 6 times 3 is 18, plus the 3 that I carried is 21. And yeah, it'll go 6 times. So we have 6 We don't have to do the math again because we did it to the side. We subtract, and we have a remainder of 0. So 19 and 824 thousandths divided by 3 and 54 hundredths is 5 and 6/10. All right, on the next one. It's written horizontally, so we know we want to make it into a standard division problem. 14 and 256 thousandths divided by 5 and 28 hundredths. Well, we know it's easier if I look at my divisor as a whole number, and to make it a whole number, I would have to move this decimal place 2 times, 2 multiples of 10 because that was hundredths place. Tenths times tenths is hundredths, so 2 multiples of 10. If we do that with the divisor, is keep it in balance, we have to do it to the dividend. So my decimal's right here now. I go 1, 2 hops over, straight up immediately, and I put it up there in my quotient. All right, now 528 won't go into 1, so we placeholder 0. It also won't go into 14, so we placeholder 0. It won't go into 142, so we placeholder 0. But it will go into 1,425. But I have no idea how many times. I want to get a starting place so I don't have to try every single number in the world. So I'm going to start with that outside number. 5 won't go into 1, but 5 will go into 14. 5 will go into 14 2 times. So I'm going to go over here to the side and see if 2 works with the whole thing. So we'll go 2 times 8 is 16, carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus the 1 is 5. And 2 times 5 is 10. And yeah, that works out. It's a little less than 1,425. So I put my 2. I don't have to redo the math because I just did it right here. So 1,056. Then we subtract as usual. Can't do this. He doesn't have enough. So he asks him, can he borrow some? And he says, well, I don't really have enough either. Let me borrow some from my neighbor over here. So we're going to borrow from him, and he's going to become a 3. Well, he borrowed, but he had already promised him a little bit of it. So he becomes an 11 instead of a 12 because he had already promised this guy over here some. So he becomes a 15. 15 minus 6 is 9. 11 minus 5 is 6. And 3 minus 0 is 3. And 1 minus 1 is nothing. So we bring our next digit down. And we have 3,696. Well, we start the process over. I know 528 won't go into 3. It won't go into 36. It won't go into 369, but it will go into 3,696. No idea how many times, so I'm going to look at my far number, the one on the very outside. 5 won't go into 3, but 5 will go into 36, and it'll go 7 times. So I'm going to start out by trying a 7. 7 times 8 is 56, carry the 5. 7 times 2 is 14, plus the 5 I carried is 19, carry the 1. 7 times 5 is 35, plus the 1 that I carried is 36. And look, we only had to try one time. It got us close enough that we were dead on. So 7 times. We don't have to do the math again because we've already done it to the side. So 36, 96, we subtract, and I get a 0 remainder. So 14 and 256 thousandths divided by 5 And 28 hundredths is 2 7/10. All right, guys, I'm going to turn you loose again. On that second sheet, just do every other one. Make sure you show all of your work. Don't forget, when you move that decimal place 2 times in the divisor, you have to do the same thing in that dividend, and then immediately go ahead and go straight up and put it in your quotient. All right, hope you guys have a good afternoon. Bye.